the desire to make a picture like Goodfellas or certain aspects of Mean Streets, for example, come right. I always felt that Mean Streets too was a picture that was in the tradition of the Warner Brothers gangster films, in a way. But Goodfellas is a better example because it was made in 91 or 90, I think, and we very simply trace the lineage right to the 40s of the gangster films by Raoul Walsh, the films coming out of Warner Brothers, particularly Roaring Twenties, down to through the 30s, but particularly two films, Scarface and Public Enemy. In Scarface, you have an interesting situation where these characters, who are really despicable, are presented in such a way that you like them. And that was the key. You see, that's the first movie I saw that made me realize that, gee, it's the same dilemma I have, basically, because I grew up around a lot of these guys. They're not all like Paul Muni was or George Raft was in that film, or they're all like Henry. They were more like Henry Hill, and where I grew up, in a way. And Paulie, for example, played by Paul Sorvino, and I understood that, and I also understood them as human beings. And so I know that they came out of a tradition, though, of outlaws, in a way, which is something that's been very popular in American culture all the way back to the 19th century. In fact, we take it all the way back to Musketeers of Pig Alley by Griffith. But also, I always took it even further, which was the Great Train Robbery. Because basically, in the Great Train Robbery, they commit this great robbery, and then at the end, the police get them all, and somebody in the last shot fires a gun right into the camera. That's why I have Joe Pesci firing the gun at the end into the camera of Goodfellas, in the sense that basically in Goodfellas, it's a bunch of outlaws who do this incredible robbery, and then they all kill each other, and the police get them at the end. It's exactly the same story. Now, the first real gangster picture that I saw was Public Enemy. And my father took me to see that. It was on a double bill with Little Caesar. Little Caesar's good, but I thought Public Enemy was more truthful. And some people say it's crude, the way it's shot. But I don't think so. I don't think so. And you never see the violence. It's always off camera. And we understood. My father, it was like basically he was with those people. He was around them all the time. He grew up with them. So basically he knew that was the truth. You could call him Tom Powers. You could call him anything. You could put any ethnic name up there. It's basically the same thing. It's basically the moment where he tells his brother, they didn't pin, they pin medals on you for killing those Germans over there, and you get medals and I get what? I'm not to be respected. You understand? I mean, it's that kind of thinking, and it's the thinking of putting food on the table, protecting your family, and then it goes out of control. It's very funny because I must say again, where I grew up, some of the best entertainment I had was listening to some guys on street corners tell stories. The oral tradition, and self-deprecating, funny, and some of the toughest people I've ever seen do this too. Tell stories with the greatest humor about human nature that is so funny. Human nature, granted, under strange circumstances, very odd, not your average circumstances, but still to get the humor out of it and to bring the humanity out of it was quite something. You forget, of course, that they're killing people or they're robbing somebody's house, but to hear some of the stories and the humor, it's like prison humor in a way. I don't know what to say. So Joe Pesci said one day to me, he said, Marty, they think your movies are funny in prison. They that's it, not audiences. Not regular convicts think they're funny. That's what you want me to do. But that's what it is. That's what the trick of that film was. The idea of the humor to, in a way, I was exploring how I could still be feeling endeared to people like that because I grew up around them. Yeah. And yet I know what they do, It's that dichotomy. I can't bring the two together. Granted, in the film, at a certain point, the minute they kill Billy Batts, Frank Vincent, it's downhill. I think I brought more of almost like a documentary attitude towards it. I wanted to show you the star of the movie is a way of life, not a character. Somebody commented that it's like Scarface without Scarface, but that's what it is. Yeah, we don't need Scarface in the film. It's the way of life. If you grow up around that, what I wanted to show you was the danger of the exuberance of that kind of life at first, you see. The danger of the exuberance, the danger of the excitement. When you're young, you think you're going to live forever, and you think you're tough, and you could take a few more shots in the head than somebody else could, and so you think you're tougher than the other person. Well, eventually, if you don't use your brain, you're not going to wind up anywhere. That's what happens with the Joe Pesci character, and I think the danger of the excitement of that lifestyle is what I grew up around, and I saw a lot of people disappear because of that.